Well, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Your Blank What Now podcast. My name is Marcy Nettles, and I am your host. And I am really honored to be able to bring to you a series of amazing women that have gone through similar struggles, but very different, and are now committed 100% to bringing awareness to other people around the world. And I say people, even though this is women, and it's kind of a women's issue, but you know, there's men out there that love women, right? And so this really pertains to everybody that is on this planet. So I am excited about the episode today. The title is going to be You're Living the Consequences of Your Choices. What now? And my special guest is Terri Diaz. She is a passionate advocate for patient health. Terri is a founding member of GPAC, Global Patient Advocacy Coalition, facilitator of BIHS, that's Breast Implant Health Summit, and founder and administrator of Breast Implant Illness Florida Support Group. She also serves as the PEAC, the Patient Engagement Advisory Committee, as a special government employee for the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Terri's own 10-year debilitating illness due to adverse reactions to an implantable medical device she had placed in 2006 ultimately motivated her to become involved in patient safety advocacy and promoting informed consent. At the time of implanting, she was not informed of the possible side effects of breast implants. Terri's health greatly improved after her implants were removed in 2016. Through Terri's advocacy, she hopes to raise awareness among patients and the medical community to improve patient care. She is dedicated to serving the voiceless and making sure every patient receives all the information they need to make informed choices. So I hope that you guys can all understand why I am honored to have Terri here with me today. Hi, Terri. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for having me, Marcy. I'm excited for this conversation.
Yes, me too. Me too. I mean, we have had some similar experiences in our backgrounds. And so I'm really excited to be able to help promote the awareness that you are bringing by sharing your story. And I also want to commend you for being here and being willing to be vulnerable and sharing your story. So can you start by sharing with the What Now tribe, what was life like for you before your breast implants?
Well, I was extremely healthy. I had three beautiful children running around my house, everything, chaotic, but, starting a business, life was, as projected. Just, everything was going extremely well. And at that time, I was around 38 that I decided because my children were more depend or independent and they were doing their own thing. So I started working out and, being a little bit more health conscious. And I was really looking and feeling my best. So I decided that the only thing missing because of my ideal of what perfection is, that I decided that I needed breast implants because I was missing breasts. And
Mm.
that was the only flaw that I could see at that moment. So I opted in, and that's when the trouble began, as you
Yeah.
probably know.
Yes. Oh, yeah, I certainly do. So tell me, where do you think your ideal came from on what you thought that you needed to be, do, have, look like? Where did that come from?
Oh, I am sure it is years of upbringing with marketing and seeing makeup ads and beautiful women and CoverGirl and just what it was, what you're supposed to look like to be a feminine woman.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that that probably goes into a bit of the story of every single woman that has ever gotten breast implants, right? Is that we're feeling less than in a certain point or time in our lives. And we're trying to do the thing that we think is going to make us look and feel better.
And we think it's going to complete us and make us whole.
Yeah.
And,
Certainly
as
doesn't.
it's no, no, it doesn't.
No. So when
Yeah.
was it exactly that you decided to get your implants? What kind did you get? And can you go further into why you got them?
Well, yeah, so I went to a prominent doctor here in Orlando. I had the consultation and I was sold the bill of goods that yes, that would make me look my best and feel my best, even better. So I did the Mentor Smooth. high profile saline implants, the ones that are supposed to be safe. That's what I was told. They're extremely safe. It's just saline. Um, and I was not given any information about what the implants could possibly do to me personally, to my body. I was just given surgical risk, and I was really sold that. And I've heard other people have the same story. It's kind of a weird story, but I was told that the implants would last a lifetime. And when I died, my implants would, my breasts are still going to be perky and standing up even in my coffin. I mean, that was part of the sales, right? Crazy, crazy.
Just the picture that just put into my mind is kind of funny. It's hilarious, actually. That they would even go as far as to talk about you when you're gone. Your implants are kind of going to keep on going, kind of thing.
Just to make you feel like they're extremely safe. And the other point that I wanted to bring up is they breast implants became something that was really not it's like getting your hair done or your nails done. It's just an accessory. That's how it's been, projected to us as, consumers, that it's just something very easy. They don't really talk about the surgery and what could happen, how they cut the muscle to get in to, if you're under the muscle, which I was. It doesn't explain like what it does to your structure and how it pulls on your neck and your shoulders and just the whole aspect of what breast implants can do to the body. None of that was talked about. It was just talked about how beautiful I was going to look, what size did I want to be, putting on the bra with the fake boobs in it to see like how beautiful that it was all about aesthetics and not about really what breast implants are and what they do.
Right. And that the healing immediately after surgery is nothing compared to what could potentially go on for a really, really long time. So I'm betting that your surgery went great and then you had just a wonderful experience with your breast implants, right? Isn't that how it went?
No, as a matter of fact, like what I thought it was going to be, it was totally the opposite. It was very, very painful. I woke up with much bigger breasts than I wanted to be. I was asking for a nice small C. I was already like a negative A. I was very, very flat. And then I was a double D when I woke up, and I was like, okay. And then you're with that swelling too. So huge for my
Yeah.
frame, for my body, just too big. And I know that other women have the same similar stories. And then
Oh, wait, wait,
immediately
wait,
I
wait a
start.
second. I want to go into that a little bit more. You wanted a regular or a small C, and yet you woke up with a double D. How did that even happen? I mean, it's like,
Well, I was told that most women, this is what he told me, most women like to go larger and they have remorse when they wake up. So instead of me having remorse, he made sure to make sure that I was nice and full so that I would be very happy with my choice.
wow. So he just went outside of what your request was and just did it anyway.
Correct.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So after you woke up, what was your like immediate and short-term experience having breast implants? What was it like?
Well, I was happy for the look of it. The fact that, my chest was up higher instead of just, because after having children, you have very flat, saggy breasts. So I was very happy in that respect. I was not happy with how large they were, but I was hoping because of the swelling that they would go down. So my first immediate was like, okay, let's wait and see. And it was really nice because I thought like, oh, I was going braless, and I felt that part of being good, because we all get breast implants because we want that feeling. We want to feel like, oh, wow, I look sexy. I look really good. But the migraines started happening. I started gaining weight. I was very, very puffy. So immediately, not that I related it to my breast implants, I related it to me starting my business, stress, um, leaving my children more because I was working so much. So I felt like hormonal. I was in my late 30s, beginning of 40s, early 40s. So I was told when I went to the doctor, oh, it's probably the start of hormonal problems, which in case it was, because breast implants mess with your hormone system, endocrine system. So actuality, they were telling me the truth, but it was because of my breast implants.
Right. So they were trying to pawn it off on other things in your life. And you know, and you were doing the same thing. You were making the same, I don't want to say the word excuses, but the same correlation as
Hmm.
in, it has to do with, well, I'm so much more busy because I've started this new business. I've got my kids that are keeping me crazy. Of course I'm gaining weight. I don't have as much time as I had before, and I'm not exercising like I could be or whatever. And yet, in all reality, inside of you, there was a place that probably knew that it was the implants.
Yeah, like I told you, they were so big that I wore big sweaters after a while, and then as I was getting heavier, it was even worse because I wasn't used to having that kind of body, that was happening. Like things were changing so rapidly, and I progressively within the 10 years that I had my implants, I progressively symptoms just started piling on. At first, it was like flu-like symptoms. Well, the first ones were the migraines and the weight gain. Then I started feeling flu-like symptoms, the extreme fatigue, where there's something wrong, that it's not a normal fatigue, gut issues, allergies, hair loss, colitis, and then, how I'd gained my weight. Then I lost weight and I got down to like 98 pounds and was just skeleton with big, big boobs. Like, so, I went from exactly what I expected to see in my coffin, right? What my doctor had said, only
It
I
was
was
that
living it.
fulfilling prophecy.
Hmm. And
Wow.
it was scary, really scary, because I know that a lot of people say that I felt like I was dying. It truly feels like you're being poisoned from the inside out, and you feel like you're dying, as it progressively keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And I was to the point of being completely bedridden. I was one of those ones that, like, I couldn't even go up a flight of stairs in my house, so I stayed on the downstairs floor, even though my master bedroom was upstairs. I just lived on the couch and, did the best I could to function. But it was really awful, like to the point of I wrote letters to my children, in case I died, to my loved ones. And, we had talked about consequences and, knowing that this is part of what I did to myself. I didn't know at that time, but the missing out on all their functions, saying no to things, not going to dinners because the food would, I would react to the different foods, or I'd just be so sick that I really missed out on a huge chunk of my life during this time. Like it's a big blur. I know that brain fog, I just was just survival mode, complete survival mode.
Wow. So I know that you didn't just stay home and you didn't just let this progression happen. You were under the care of doctors, and had you doing all kinds of different things. Can you explain a little bit about what your experience was like being cared for and the treatment you received, or even the interaction with your doctors? What was this like?
Well,
Mm.
as one more thing is most, I know my experience is not, I'm not alone in this experience, but, I went to different doctors, went to multiple specialists, had multiple procedures done, thinking everything to, my gallbladder to leaky gut. I was diagnosed with colitis. I was diagnosed with, oh goodness gracious, there were so many things that, like, at this point it's just a nice blur. But I went to probably 20 different doctors, different specialists, and the worst one was my I went to a blood doctor that they actually test the blood. And this was my primary doctor, was pretty good, and he said, listen, I don't know what to do with you, so I'm going to go and I'm going to have you go to this blood doctor. They normally screen for cancers, but um, I want to check everything. And when I went to her, she was the worst one. It was a female, and she made me cry. And thank God my husband was there, because had I experienced it alone, I would have been questioning, like, what did I do? What did I do, or what did I say to make this doctor behave this way? But she told me that there are sick and dying people in her office. And why was I wasting her time? Because I just didn't feel good and could not find the answers. And I left devastated. That was the last doctor I went to go see until I found a naturopath that helped me and kind of guided me that way. But I pretty much, you know, after that, I was just done. I mean, and I know there's so many other, women that have that same story that they just give up on trying to find help.
It's hard because a lot of the times, because I experienced a lot of what you're talking about, going to the doctor and having all of the tests come back being, oh, everything's perfectly normal. You're fine. You're fine. And then them basically helping you think that it's all in your head. And after you're told that enough times, you start to wonder, you start to question yourself. Did you ever have that happen? Did you ever question how you were feeling?
I did actually, because one of the doctors offered me Prozac. She told me that that's probably what my problem was. The anxiety was in my head and that I was creating this myself. Not one of them ever suggested that could be my breast implants. Not one doctor ever said, hey, do you have an implantable device? Nothing like that. She went directly to my anxiety. Here's some Prozac. And luckily, that little voice inside me said, don't do it. No, I'm not there. I'm not crazy. Like, this is me knowing my body. I know something's wrong. You know, I'm not the same person I was, just a few years ago. So something has happened. And I didn't even link it to my breast implants, but I just knew something had happened.
Wow. Yeah. So, speaking of breast implants and you being sick, how did you learn about breast implant illness? And did you feel
Uh,
that they were partially responsible for how you had been feeling?
well, the first time it had been brought up to me, I had already had diagnosis of, the autoimmune issues and the leaky gut. And so leaky gut basically means you're not getting the nutrition that you need. So, I was trying to heal my gut. I was focused on that. And so when it was first brought up, I was just like, no, 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 my doctor's got me covered. I have, I'm on this protocol and, it's working. Then when it, of course, progressively still like, because as every moment goes by, it feels like you're just going down the hill a little bit slower till you're, like you're almost at the end. And a friend of mine sent me an article from Crystal Hefner, and I read it, and I was like, oh my God, that's me. Oh my God, that's me. She has that same thing. Like, it was so eerie and so wonderful, but also there were so many emotions as I was reading it. I know I cried when I read it because I was like, oh my God, this is the answer. This is exactly what I know is wrong with me because it only makes sense from point A to point B. This is really the only thing that I had done in between from being on such a healthy high to being on such a sick low. That's the only procedure that I really had done. And then I mean, I remember clearly, this is something that, will be etched in my life forever, is I remember clearly on my couch just going, wow, if I did this to myself,
Mm.
I really did this to myself. I made this choice that I didn't have to do. It wasn't anything that I needed. It wasn't life saving. It just was cosmetic. It was just to feel better about myself. And it didn't do what it was supposed to do. Like, I really realized then. And I also realized then that if it was my implants, if I remove these, like, and I really felt like it was going to be, but if I remove these, then I'm not going to stay quiet. I'm going to speak up. And I really feel like that's when my advocacy journey started. I really feel like there's a fire that came out, like, you know what, you're going to fix this, you're going to fix this wrong, that, this is not right. Like, people should know what is happening to their bodies when they agree to a procedure.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you. And I take my hat off to you and all of the other amazing women advocates that are out there fighting every single day to bring this awareness. You went through this massive whirlwind, almost like a storm of emotions, probably in a very short amount of time, from being aware to probably having some relief to some hope and then guilt and
Lots of
then
guilt.
and then responsibility. And that's the thing. We
Mhm.
blame ourselves all the time, right? We blame ourselves when things don't go right and we feel that we should have made a different decision or choice. But in all reality, what good does that do us, right? We can't go back and change the decision we already made. But what we can do is take what we've learned and be able to help other people avoid that same pain, that death-like feeling um, that you had. And I love that you created such a purpose on your life out of this massive breakdown opportunity.
Well, I feel like it was almost handed, like I almost had to, like there was no choice in the matter because I think my personality, I need to right the wrong. And I need to make this, that there was a reason for it. I couldn't have lost 10 years of my life without having a purpose behind it. And I honestly did try not to be an advocate at first. Like, I started the breast implant Florida support group first. And that was because I was also trying to navigate the explant experience. And I, in it, we, there was, there's a larger group, and that larger group wanted groups for the state so that it would be easier for people to find, help. So I, stood up and said, okay, I'll do that. And I was so sick anyways that I was already in bed doing it. So I just, I just, it was fine. But I was like, oh, you know what? I really love supporting the women. But when I started feeling a little bit healthier, it's like, I don't know if I really want to do this. And I really did try to walk away, but I couldn't. Like it just, I could not. I knew, like my heart kept pulling me towards, helping people and helping people. And then I just gave in. I'm like, okay, here I am. And any opportunity I have to help, I just go and I'm in it, so.
I love that. I love that. It's like this purpose that was born out of your pain. Can you so we've heard quite a bit about your personal story and how this affected you with well, first the reason why you got breast implants and then how you came about getting them, what you were told, and then your experience after you had them and then explanting and removing them. Can you tell me a little bit about the experience that your family had while you were sick? Well, how do you think that affected them when you were sick? And then now after having, well, and we haven't really even talked about you explanting yet. So let's talk
Yeah.
about how your family was affected with your illness and with you being so very sick. What was life like for them?
Well, I think that my boys, they were teenagers, and it was crucial parts of their life that they just only knew me as mommy on the couch, mommy's sick, anytime that they hadn't. And luckily at that time, my mom lived with us. And so she became the surrogate mom for me. Like she would take them to their band practices and to any school functions. She would go sit and watch them. She would videotape for me. I mean, it was really, I'm sure, challenging for them because I'm sure they felt abandoned by their mom, even though I was right there. I was right on the, right on the couch. But um, I would drag myself every once in a while to a very important um, function or, something to celebrate them. But it was so hard. And I would only be able to stay for a very short time. Like I really would just show my face and same thing, survival mode, and just do what I had to do and leave. So I'm pretty sure it affected them. And the reason why I really know is more afterwards, not during, because during I was so focused on survival that I don't really, I mean, I was just so grateful that my mom would take over and do things for me that I didn't really see what was happening. But now stepping back, I do know how it affected them. With one, I'll talk about explant. So
Yes,
luckily, I
please.
have a very supportive family. And explant was, I found a great plastic surgeon that's been doing this for 20, 30 years. She's amazing. And, she just made me feel right at ease, explained the whole situation, took an hour to explain, like very much informed consent, like everything to, this is what could happen, to this is how we are going to feel, I can't guarantee that you'll be, you're going to get all better, but most of my patients do, like the whole thing and experience, like talked about the surgery, everything. Um, I came out of surgery and the first feeling was that I could breathe. And then the second thing is it felt like, and I know that other people have talked about this before, but it felt like that sliver was out of my body. I felt relief. Like I just felt this huge relief of not that, I don't even know how to explain it. Like there was a shaking energy in your body when you have implants. Like that's just constantly that fire of feeling sick. And it was just like it had stopped. That fire had stopped. It just was so, oh, wow, okay. And then, healing, it wasn't magical because I was so sick at that point that anesthesia made me really, really sick. It took me weeks of being in bed still, not, I wasn't running marathons. I wasn't like I was one of those, oh my God, I feel so much better. It took me time, but I could think clearer. I could breathe better. I didn't feel that energy anymore. That was gone. And I could tell I was on the road to healing. Like you just internally know. And that's exactly, like that was it. And so as I after explant and as I started regaining my health and I started doing things for my kids, that's when they would say, oh, I'm so thankful I have my mom back. I am so thankful that, like little things like that. And then my husband, he actually did a podcast where he explained, and listening to this podcast because it was for the Breast Implant Health Summit, and it was just the men's experience, what they go through. And I did not listen live. I listened like when everybody else did, and it just made me cry because I didn't. There's some things I'm living with him while it's happening, but you don't really realize how it affects your loved one like that, where they're worried about you. And especially men, they want to take care of you, they want to fix everything. And they're watching you go from this very active, robust person to a shell of nothing. It's really hard on them. And that's when I realized, and now I know how grateful he is to have his wife back. So it's just is absolutely amazing, to watch the differences. My mom, she just, passed away about a year ago. And that is one of my sadnesses because, I know a little bit of how she felt, but I never asked her the questions. Now, think about a mother watching their child go through that too, and then stepping in to take care of her grandchildren. I'm sure that it was just, so it, breast implant illness doesn't just touch our lives, it touches everyone around us, every single person that we're close to, especially the ones that we live with. And for them to see, like, the deterioration and not knowing, you keep going to doctors and being told nothing's wrong, but you're physically watching that person deteriorate, it has to be devastating.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And thank you for answering that so well. And I love that your boys now recognize the blessing that their mother is, because a lot of the times, kids just kind of take their moms for granted and just expect
Hmm.
them to be there. And I think that your boys were actually given a blessing in disguise to
I
be
agree.
able to appreciate you the way that they do. So thank you for sharing that. Can you think back and just think, what is one thing that you wish that you could tell yourself before you had gotten your breast implants? Or maybe what is one thing that you would tell someone that's considering getting breast implants now?
The first thing I would say is you are enough. You just by yourself is enough, but that's something that comes with your own internal growth. So I don't know if, I would have heard it back then or the person I'm speaking to would hear it, now. But that would be one of the first things that I would say is you are enough. And there are things that I gained that I would never not choose this journey again, even though I have regrets and guilt. But I would still say to that person, it's not worth it. It's truly not worth it. If you can stop the young Terri from doing it, it's not worth it. But now that I've experienced it, now where I'm at in my life, I am very grateful I experienced it because I feel like I'm a total different person as far as what I conceive as beauty. I don't look at just the outside anymore or what society thinks is beautiful anymore. I look at, I see beauty in people that I would have never seen before. I look at people's energy now. Somebody will say, "Did you even notice the color of the hair?" No, I don't even notice that stuff anymore. I don't notice anything. I notice your eyes, the windows to the soul, and I notice your energy. Those are the two things that I notice. So I'm grateful for that part of the journey. I'm also grateful because I have people in my life now that are amazing, like soul sisters, strong, wonderful women that I would never have connected with had I not experienced this. Our community is extremely tight, extremely helpful, extremely loving. Um, so I'm grateful for that,
Yes.
even though I experienced what I experienced.
But being able to, and, being on this side of it is kind of a benefit too, being able to look back and be able to make those
Hmm.
assessments and realize that, you would not be the amazingly strong, empowering woman that you are today if you had not known that side of struggle.
Hmm.
Struggle
Exactly.
creates us, right? Well, let's talk about that just a little bit though. Struggle creates us. That's a statement I just made. But in all reality, it's the choice that you make around the struggle that you're in. Are you going to let the struggle take you down and out? Or are you going to choose to have the struggle be your opportunity to move forward and to become and learn from what you're going through? Because I mean, you really do. It's all in that choice and that decision.
And that choice isn't linear because at some points, you are making that choice while you're in the middle of it. Like, nope, nope, I'm not growing from this. I'm done. I'm angry, whatever, wherever you are in that, journey. And then the other times it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to take this and I am going to make something out of it.
Yeah.
But now, like I said, now I don't have like talk about choice. Now the choice is within inside me. I don't have a choice anymore. It is who I am.
Yes. You have become.
Right. Exactly. It's
You
who
have
I've
become. Yeah,
become.
absolutely. Well, and you had briefly mentioned, that promise that you made when you thought you were on your deathbed, but you had become aware of what was going on. And you had
Hmm.
decided to become this advocate, this warrior for women, helping people understand, what breast implant illness, or BII is what it's called for short, what it really is. So can you share with What Now Tribe what you're doing to really bring that awareness, and on the different platforms for who it's for the individual, for groups? What kind of advocacy are you doing?
So the Florida support group is my first baby, and that is mostly for women to navigate, and in the Florida area, different surgeons, where to go, different health choices of how to, you know, find your best healing. That's number one. And then I was one of the 20 women that was invited to go speak at the FDA to talk about the safety of breast implants. And that is where I met some beautiful, amazing other women advocates that do the same thing. And that is where I met my bestie, that I call her, breasty bestie, um, Robin Tao. And we co founded GPAC, which is the Global Patient Advocacy Coalition. And that is mostly to help with informed consent. And we decided that if it's happening here locally, it has to be happening globally, right? So we got involved with other global advocates, and we're trying to take what works best in each country, or what is the best way of informed consent or legislation. And we're taking that and we're sharing ideas so that we all benefit. So, something that works here in the United States, let's give Australia a chance to try to use that in their country. What works really well in Australia, let's use that here in the United States. So we've been doing a lot of advocacy that way. And Robin has passed a law in Arizona that actually is an informed consent law, and we are working in other states to pass that as well. So that's GPAC. Then I also met Danielle Valores, and she's another beautiful soul. And we co-founded, the Breast Implant Health Summit. And what that is all about is another piece that's missing in our community is that the doctors aren't aware. Healthcare professionals, because look at how many doctors I went to. I went to multiple, 10, 20, 30. Not one of them mentioned that it could be my breast implants. So that awareness really needs to be spread into that community. And she happens to be a physician's assistant. So she already is, involved in that community. So she already had the vision and I just helped her create it a little, push it along. And so we have different specialists, different healthcare providers that is it like a summit, over 25, 30 speakers we have right now. And they all talk about their world experience along with their clinical experience, their research, what they have found that helps best with women or men or whoever has these breast implants and how to help them heal. So that is what the Breast Implant Health Summit is all about. It's really clinician to clinician, practitioner to practitioner, but we also encourage breast implant illness women, if they want to watch, they are more than welcome, because there's going to be something for everyone. But the main focus is to get that awareness out to those practitioners that take care of us every single day.
Yeah,
So that's
awesome.
what that's about.
So when is that summit?
It is October 21st, 22nd, and 23rd of 2022, which is coming up. And we have 4 CMEs from Haymarket that are, let me look real quick and see if I have my notes, because there's 3, and it's on our website, but there's 3 specialties. And since I am not the medical doctor, I know it's for nurses, medical doctors, and naturopaths, I believe, are the 3 that, but there's 4 credits, continuing education credits for this on Saturday mornings, and everything's on our website. But it is so that more practitioners, more more will know more, and then when you come in, the young person that has breast implants and they come in with their symptoms, now that doctor is actually aware that, oh, wait, do you have a medical device? Is this, what's happening? Asking more questions instead of just doing the blood work, just saying, oh, there's nothing wrong with you, and, scooting you off your merry way. So.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, this is so amazing. Seriously, because going woman to woman to woman to woman, creating awareness, if their doctors aren't aware, I mean, it's not like we can take our own implants out, right? We need someone that's working with us as our partners to be able to make the right choices. And if they're not educated on it and aware, then it's not a really successful partnership at all. So this summit, I think that you said that a woman with implants or a man with implants could watch it as well. Is this online?
Correct. It will be online. There is a fee, and because both Danielle and I have experienced breast implant illness, we are trying to spread awareness. Our goal is to have the person that does want to watch it. Number one, if they're a breast implant illness person, they get 20% off automatically. If they want to try to watch it for free, we have ways to do that, because we want that awareness out there. We want you to go spread it to those doctors, because we're only limited to what we can do. So that's where I have to look at my notes too. And of course, I have it here. Oh yeah, okay. So if you can get 2 people or 2 medical professionals, whether it's your massage therapist, whether it is somebody that does lymphatic massage, whether it's your plastic surgeon, your normal healthcare provider, you can get 2 practitioners to register, you get 50% off. If you get 3 practitioners, whomever they are, to register, then it's totally free for you.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, and we really, the reason is because it's beneficial for anyone to watch. There will be different speakers speaking on lymphatic massage and how to clear the toxins. I know we have someone that does infrared therapy and what that can do to help your healing. So that it goes from that to plastic surgeons who are talking about, the clinical studies that they've been doing with explants. So it's very, very interesting.
It does. It sounds like it. I'm definitely going to be going to your website and checking it out for myself. I actually just started with an infrared sauna, 40 minutes every day, and I am very hopeful that that's going to help me as well with my continued healing, because that's the thing people need to understand, the expectation of healing. You don't just take out the implants and everything is all good and you're ready to go. It takes time to be able to detox and to be healed from the things that went on over the time period that you had those implants.
I
So,
was going to say, I had mine for 10 years and I'm only 5.5 years out. I am so much better than I used to be. And I thought right away, I would tell people, oh, I'm 80% better. But it's because you don't know better. Because as I keep going up the hill now, getting better and better, I would say after explant now, I was probably 40 to 50% better. But because I was at such a low and then I jumped, for the first few months, I jumped up and I was able to do things with my children again. I still can't eat everything that I want because I still have some issues in that respect. But the fact that I could go hiking, or that, I was living life again and participating, that feels like 80 to 100%, because you're like, wow. But then as time goes on and you start, oh, I just, feel a little bit better in this area. Oh, wait, I wasn't 80%, you know? So I think it's just a continual thing. I want people to know, the one thing that I've learned from, because this is our second summit, we had one in 2020 as well. The one thing I've learned is that you need to go slow. Everything that you do, you need to go slow as far as healing goes. It's not like a magic pill that will just fix it all. It is something that you need to, and you have to listen to your own body. I can tell you what I do for me, which is great, and it works for me, but it may not work for you. What works for you may not work for me. So you really have to know. But there are a few things that I always tell people. Now, the infrared sauna, I've been dabbling on that as well, and I love it, and I love how it makes me feel. Before that, when I didn't could not afford those kind of things, I would tell people, especially in the Florida support group, um, Epsom salt baths are a very cheap way to take care of your body, because mostly what's wrong, or not wrong, but mostly what happens to, I think, breast implant illness women or in our community is our detox pathways shut down. So we aren't, even though our body's doing its normal function of detoxing, without the lymphatic massage or doing your own lymphatics or dry brushing, without Epsom salt baths, without sweating, you're not, without, going to the bathroom, all those things, it has to be a nice flow, and it takes time.
yeah, it does. And it takes patience and sometimes it takes forgiveness. It's like, have you forgiven yourself for the decision you made to get
Well,
implants?
that's a good, because we do have a therapist that is going to be sharing as well about breast implant illness and that journey, because it is an emotional journey. And there's a lot of, PTSD and different things that go along with this journey that you don't even realize until you start, bringing all the pieces together. And then you're like, oh, wow, I have been really hard on myself for that. I haven't forgiven myself for that. Or, so
Yeah. Well,
I
and to
think that's a
have
big piece.
yeah, and to have overall wellness, it truly is more than just your physical. Your emotional, your spiritual, they both go right along with it. And if you don't take the time to heal those things you can't see, then it takes a lot longer for your physical to heal, if it ever truly does, because a lot of the time what's going on inside of your head and your heart will keep your body from healing. So I think it's just
Correct.
really important for people to understand that.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. So, how can our audience follow you? Where can they find you to see what you're doing, to support what you're doing, to share what you're doing? Because we need to get this message out there. Where can they find you, Terry?
Well, I'm on Facebook where everyone else is. I'm on Instagram. And then the groups, GPAC and the Breast Implant Health Summit, are also on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. So there's multiple places. And I have actually, I just heard of Linktree. So I'm going to set myself all up on Linktree to make it one link.
That's awesome. Get me that link and I'll be able to provide that with the show notes and make sure that people have that information to be able to get in contact and follow you because it's really important. I mean, and I'm going to talk directly to the What Now tribe right now, guys. Please help us raise this awareness for breast implant illness. You can simply do that by subscribing to this podcast. I'm going to be doing several episodes about this issue and the problem. It really is a pandemic. There is enough women out there that are suffering from it that it is a pandemic.
Well, we
So
call it a health crisis. It's a women's health
yes. Yes, it's a health crisis, most definitely. So please subscribe to this podcast, like it, share these episodes out to every single woman that you love and care about, whether they have implants or not, because they may inside of themselves have a yearning to look a certain way, and they may think that implants is part of getting them to where they want to be. And then on top of that, how about all of the men that love women, right? I mean, Terri was telling you about her husband and how he shared his story on another podcast. I'll have to get him on here. But just share this episode out, share all these episodes that we'll be doing, because that will cost you nothing. And you are going to potentially be part of this movement that will start to save some women's lives. So how would you like that? You can pat yourself on the back and say, hey, I helped save somebody's life. And all it took was you sharing a podcast episode. But Terri, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. You were so willing and so quick to say yes, to be on here and to share your story. And you were such a beautiful guest. Before we go, is there any final words or anything that you would like to share with the What Now tribe?
Well, what you just said just summed it up. It's all of us. Us, I say that in my bio is that, being the voice for the voiceless. That is who we are. And that's what we need to do because there's so many people out there that suffer in silence. And that is the only way that we can, share this and spread awareness. And it's very simple. If anyone has any questions or, needs advice or wants to help in any way, to become their own advocate, I totally, totally support that and will help.
Wonderful. So I know you're going to do the Linktree link for me, but why don't you just tell us what is the website for the different organizations that you're talking about?
So breastimplанthealthsummit.com is where to go for the health summit. GPACunited.org is our Global Patient Advocacy Coalition. And I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything as far as like websites. I think those are the two main websites that, that they can get involved in.
Wonderful. That's perfect. Well, thank you so much for being such an amazing guest today, Terri. And your episode is You're Living the Consequences of Your Choices. What now? And the what now is you take what almost tried to kill you and you turn it into your passion and your purpose to save other people's lives. So congratulations on doing such a beautiful job at that. Thanks for being here, Terri.
Amen. Thank you.